you're creating an atmosphere of chaos, and they need to allow law enforcement to work with our federal partners and getting those people off the street. I'm truly concerned. I'm concerned on the direction we're going. I'm concerned with the state of our state. I think of all the things you see happening in the news, radio, media. Public safety has been put on the back burner. DHS has a responsibility. I mean, that was almost the mandate the public put forward after 9/11, was to protect the public. In my opinion on the law, the green light law, I think it's another one of those laws that was hastily put together. It was not well thought out. Again, they didn't have law enforcement involved in the decision. It's just another one of the, like bail reform, that they failed to put forward and discuss openly. And now that you have the green laws in place, it's certainly going to impact our ability to get information to a lot of our federal partners. Especially after 9/11, you saw one of the biggest critiques was information sharing was lacking. And we've come forward from that time, and information sharing has gotten to be a tremendous part of everything we do. I think the day information sharing breaks down, I think which is because of legislation has begun now, is going to erode public safety, and it's going to impact public policy. Yeah, my name's Ernie Cutting. I'm the sheriff in Shenango County Sheriff's Office in upstate New York. We're based out of Norwich, New York. I've been with the Sheriff's Office for 33 years. This is in my third term right now as sheriff. I can certainly see the ramifications. We're in between Binghamton and Utica. It's a very transient population that comes through my county. I can certainly see where we pull somebody over that's has strong suspicions of being an illegal immigrant or an illegal person in New York State and in the United States, and we can't share that information with anybody. I can certainly see where that could be a real problem. They can come up with any information or any form of documentation, put it forward, and we're going to give you a driver's license. It could be totally false, erroneous, and we're not going to know who that person is. The last statistics I saw, there are nearly 2 million illegal criminal aliens in the United States now. And in New York State now, we're not going to be able to verify who those people are. So this was a piece of legislation that was stuck in with some other legislation, was largely overlooked initially, and it wasn't until we started raising questions at the New York State Sheriff's Association and some of these laws that it started becoming more public. And we realized the potential for serious issues going down the road that were there. And you see the chiefs of police, you see the New York State sheriffs leading the way on many of these reforms. And I believe there were certainly areas where some of those some legislation, we could really have helped and made it a much better piece of legislation. But because they bury it in budget bills, there's no discussion, they don't reach out. They, in essence, have kicked the apple cart down the hill without any thought or regard as to what the impacts are going to be and the further victimization of people. And with New York State's the steps that they've taken, it's certainly impacted DHS's ability to say, this is a verified or trusted person, whether you're aboard an airplane or not. And the last thing we want is to have some other incident happen where someone has gained access to an airplane and could potentially do the same things that have happened in 9/11. Certainly understand DHS's frustrations. They go in line with law enforcement's frustrations on this legislation. And maybe it's time that we partner together and try to continue working to force our legislators to take a harder look at it and realize the true implications of what they're trying to pass. If we have someone that's a criminal illegal alien, we've identified them, they're in the country, many times they've already been forced back out of the country, deported, and they're back in for the second, third, and fourth time, and oftentimes we see tremendous crimes are happening by some of these same people, and we absolutely need to have the ability to remove those people. Now, if someone wants to come here legally and immigrate to the United States legally, we all support that. And when you see legislation like these, and especially legislation where we can't work with some of our other law enforcement partners, we all can see the impacts of that. We don't go into these professions to get rich. We're here for public safety. We're here to protect our communities. We work hand in hand with our public partners, to try to put forth policy and take care of our communities. I've had the opportunity to have dinner with several sheriffs from all over the country, and almost to a T, outside of maybe California and a few other places, it's like, what is going on in New York? And you're always leaders, in many areas of public policy and law enforcement. And now what's going on with your legislature and your state governments, and we all have to sit there, and I don't want to say we bury our head, but we certainly are all taking a step back and realizing that we have to do more to engage our legislature to make sure that the policy and legislation that's put forth is truly making public safety and the citizens' lives better. I know in the last 3 years we've had 25 sheriffs, long-term exceptional law enforcement officers retire. And that's a tremendous number of people in our state organization. I believe there's 58 sheriffs in New York State. And to have 25, that percentage is huge. And that's a lot of talent, knowledge that has, I don't want to say thrown their hands up, but they realize the fight that in the direction we're going. And they just said, we have to do something different. Maybe there's a different way they can serve the public in a different capacity than as sheriff. I can see what's going on in New York City, with the unions down there and Mayor de Blasio. The adversarial relationship comes when you have leaders that have come out and publicly attacked law enforcement, downgraded law enforcement. And one of the biggest things I see in how it impacts us is we're having fewer and fewer people sign up to take civil service exams for law enforcement and corrections. They're going into different fields. Years ago, we would have several hundred people take the law enforcement exam. We only had like 40 take the last exam, and we have openings. Corrections is very similar. No one wants to do those jobs because of the negative rhetoric that comes from our leaders. And the mayor in New York is just another one of those leaders that he's been against law enforcement since he's taken office, and he just continues down that path.